it was the same foods. Huevos and beans and pans full of green chile enchiladas made to last an entire week. But really, it was the clothing that bothered me the most. The way you could tell just from looking at me that I got my lunches free from the district. Being poor is bad enough, but having everyone else know you're poor? That might as well be hell. Even though it put me in debt, I moved into the dorms for college. I wanted to blend in, you know? I took out extra loans and went over to Thrift Town and purchased a whole new wardrobe. I bleached and dyed my hair while everyone else was at orientation. Going punk, not because I liked the music or even the look, but because it was cheaper than anything else. Wearing safety pins for earrings meant I was edgy, and wearing the same ripped clothes every day meant I was making a statement. Mama hated it, but by then that only made me happier. During the first week of school, I made up for all the rebellion I'd missed earlier in life, ditching classes, getting drunk with my roommate Bella, and sleeping with men just because I could. I didn't completely transform during college or forget where I came from, even though most of the time I wanted to. Growing up, I hated going to San Ignacio with Mama every Sunday, but I still attended Mass during college, spiked hair and all. I prayed to La Virgen y los Santos for everything, from grades to boys. I don't know what I really believed back then. Maybe none of it. Maybe all of it. But the traditions weren't easy to drop. During sophomore year, I was taking one of those large history lectures with Bella. We liked to get there early because the air conditioners were all in the front of the hall, and the walls at the back got so hot from the sun that you'd have to sweat through the whole hour. We'd sit there and watch the other students pile in, whispering about anyone who looked particularly funny or weird or, most important, cute. This was how we spent a lot of our time together, and because we fundamentally disagreed about what made a guy attractive, we could argue at length. Bella was into machismo. The men she dated had wife beaters and tattoos beneath their leather jackets. They were in a band or in a gang or on parole. Her relationships never lasted long because as sexy as she thought those guys were, she didn't like their violence and mood swings. She was a chica who wanted to tame her man, and we bonded over her series of failures. She always needed a shoulder to cry on until she found her next crush, and I was more than willing to supply that shoulder, so long as she kept me updated on all the juicy details. No lie, I barely cared what they looked like, at least in the traditional sense, or what they did for fun, what they liked to talk about, whether they were más o menos listos, any of that crap. I knew that the one way to get out of Martinez Town for good was to find a man con mucha plata. And at UNM, those weren't as easy to come by as you might think. A lot of guys liked to act preppy, popping the collars of their polo shirts and walking to class as if they owned the place, then driving back home in a beat-up Camaro, just like the boys I grew up with. So I scouted for signs of real wealth. Expensive watches were key, but also haircuts and even backpacks. It was easy to know what clothes to buy, but there was a certain smugness to the truly wealthy, a way they seemed to colonize the area around them that I learned to pick up on. Early in the semester, I noticed a boy in a bright red Lacoste shirt and khaki pants strolling down the stairs. A girl was at his side, a Barbie clone whose expression looked as molded as the doll's. 2 friends accompanied them, seemingly tethered to him by invisible strings. The light glinted off his gold Rolex and onto his carefully tousled bangs, and I knew what I wanted. I nudged Bella. "I see him," she said, "but you know his girl's right there." "Not now," I said. "Just wait." I didn't have a plan then, but I've always been patient, and I knew something would come to me. 2 days later, at the next history lecture, we sat closer to him, and even closer the one after that. Bella seemed amused, and since this was the first guy I'd seriously gone after since losing interest in meaningless sex early freshman year, she did everything she could to encourage my infatuation.